well, there's no easy way to say this. It's with a heavy heart that I must say, over the past week, our friend Amayirot Akago passed. I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around this. It seems like just a couple days ago I was watching him stream DOS games that I'd never heard of, but which I was going to look into more.
Yeah, I basically found out about the news early this week. He he apparently did take its own life, which means he has had, which means it was most likely through depression and such like that, which is always like never, which is always a prevalent problem with some people, you know. Like you hear about it a lot about that type of thing happening, but when it happens to someone you do know personally, it really does hurt.
Yeah, the silent killer.
No kidding. Like we didn't even really know that he was
Yeah.
like he was suffering because of that. And
yeah, it's the thing that hurts the most, really, is the fact that there are so many, like, not just Akago, but there are so many people that are out there like silently suffering. And it hurts us because we wish we could do something, but it's always too late because we never knew.
yeah,
right?
the person's a bitch.
Yeah.
But excuse me. But yeah, but going back to, I guess when I first met him, it was way back in like, I want to say like 2009, 10ish. It was back in like the Spoody One forums, back when I lurked around on there, and he was there too. And eventually we discovered each other's videos because of that. Because we would, I think it was more so that I just posted stuff there, and he also posted stuff there, and we eventually just found each other because of that. And then we became supportive of each other's videos throughout the years, and eventually he became part of RCG, which he was thrilled to be on, of course. And yeah, it it definitely has shaken me up, in case you couldn't tell, because you know, you look back and you realize that he's just gone. Because I because now when I look back on like the video where I actually had him on as like a guest in the Heart of the Alien review, because I wanted him on there because I knew he was a big fan of Another World. So to have him on there was nice. But now I kind of regret not being able to do anything else besides that, because I actually had ideas, or at least a idea, to have him to do a full collab review with him. But unfortunately, I never got the chance to even like present him the idea for it. But if he was still around, I knew he probably would be on board for that.
I guess out of everybody here, me personally, like I've sort of come in and out of RCG for, oh gosh, since its inception. I've kind of known you guys just sort of as like a stagnant thing, but I never really hung out for long periods of time with you guys, just because I had other things, work or other friends and stuff like that. But you know, like, just to say, like, you guys are a very welcoming crew, you know, like welcoming someone like Akago. And it's the sad truth that because of my somewhat lingeringness, where I'm not really around all the time, that I don't meet everybody at the same time everybody else does, is I didn't really know him very well. I think I may have spoken to him maybe about 3 or 4 times over the course of the years that he's been a part of the site. And it wasn't like one-on-one or anything like that. It was mostly in groups, but it kind of sucks. And I just feel that I just out of random circumstance and stuff, that the one episode of Zero's Maverick Hunting that I helped Zero and I edited for was actually the one in the collab that he did with Zero Master, which was on Leisure Suit Larry. And it sucks to think about it, but that is probably the most time I spent with him was with a recorded version of him. Looking at how dedicated he was at like getting the right take. Like the footage that I got, like just to compare, like I got maybe about 3 or 4 takes from Zero, whereas with him, he had like 20 or 30 takes of each line, of each live action versus digital. It was, like it showed such a great dedication and to somewhat like love for these older Windows DOS-based video games, like things that like Scott said was, like games you never even heard of would pop in, and he'd make, little references here and there every in-between take where I didn't get them. Maybe Zero, who was originally going to edit it, would have gotten them, but it was crazy because you actually saw a person that was very dedicated to the content that he created.
Yeah,
Because there are so many times where you're just like, well, that take was fine. You don't need to do it another 30 times, but it sounds so terrible. I feel terrible that I never really got to know him more, because I learned so much about him through, this sort of third wave, sort of like watching someone's video, but at the same time, I got that little extra layer of it.
I mean, I never really got the chance to talk with him like one-on-one that much either, and in recent, I guess, years, I haven't really got a chance to do that either, which I now kind of regret, but at the same time, it's just what it is,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like what you said, like back when Harley Alien, he did do, it was at a similar nature too, and his taste in games definitely reflect on to, I guess, it piqued some of my interest in like a bunch of like obscure, like, well, not necessarily obscure, more like this era of video games where it's like this whole DOS era, and a bunch of other PC games that I wouldn't have been able to get into because of him. Like if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten more awareness of the Neverhood. And lo and behold, sometime after I saw his original review of the game and such, I found a copy of it just at my store for like $3, and I'm just like, oh, this is the Neverhood, and I got it, and then I played it, and I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just one example of one of the games I was able to really get into and really enjoy because of him.
Yeah, and it's like a domino effect too. Like that made you make. They made a sequel out of the, which I can't remember the name of the game right now. Skull Monkeys, yeah.
Yeah,
like and that's like, it's sort of like a third wave inspiration type of deal, and
yeah.
You don't really think about those things, that all the inspiration that I've gotten over the years on certain things that I've done have come from other people, and you don't give enough credit until you really sort of take a step back and think about it. So it's somber and it's kind of sad, but it's also somewhat uplifting that, like even with a tragedy like this, that yeah, this doesn't define who Akago was. And that's the biggest thing that we have to take away from it, is that he was the person that was dedicated to these reviews and introduced you and everything to like a completely different genre that, like I said, like you said too, like I wasn't really into DOS PC games, but going back and looking at his video roster now, I'm like, man, this was an age that it never interests me until like someone sheds light on it. So
yeah, and he was a big fan of like the old school adventure games and like Sierra and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think he even made his own like point-click adventure type game too, based around his job as being like a postman. I hope we can still find a way to access it now that I think about it, but we'll have to dig into that and see.
I know I've been a little silent for this whole thing, just because I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this. This is never any kind of news you would want to hear about anyone close to you or someone that you may have known. I just wish I got to interact with him more than I did. I believe the times he was on this podcast were pretty interesting and fun, and even the Skype chat rooms, which, well, because now we're more on Discord, we've moved way past that, but I'm just like, I can't off the top of my head remember if he cameoed in any of my stuff or if I assisted him with stuff. I know he made some like jokish videos involving us. That I do remember clearly,
Yeah.
but I just don't remember if I got the chance to really work with him in the capacity that I would have loved to. And I think one of the last things he ever like typed out on my channel was actually on my Anime North 2017 video. His words were just always awesome to see you guys have a blast together, and I just appreciated that from him, that he was still around.
Yeah,
us.
he was from the Netherlands, so it's like, unfortunately, because he was that far away, like time zones and stuff like that, and conflicted actually being able to like even talk to him online, and of course like not being able to go to conventions because he would have to like fly overseas and stuff like that.
And that also did like conflict with the podcast as well, because we would never find a time to do any of that.
But that's just because he's in Europe, so it's like,
yeah,
what can you do? And I really wished I could have met him like actually in person, like he was able to travel to a convention with us or something like that.
Now that I actually think about it, and I just double checked because I was interested, because I was thinking back on because you guys were talking about how he was supportive in your videos and stuff like that. He actually left a comment on one of my reviews. Well, like so long ago, right?
Like
and
when you posted it on RCG or something like that.
No, it's actually on YouTube. So he must have been either subbed to me or what down the grapevine saw it from the chat,
or just went to like the YouTube video with the comment.
And like I only have 2 reviews up, and it's kind of crazy, with the idea that he was giving me positive advice. He was saying, this is your good first outing, keep it up, that type of thing. Like incredibly encouraging. Like obviously not saying that no everybody else in RCG doesn't do this, because a lot of the time it's verbal, right? Whereas because even though he didn't really know me all that much, he knew that I was part of RCG, and he took the time to write out a comment to say, like, good first outing, keep going, keep going, you'll get better and better, that type of stuff. So it's so surreal that like he's more like people are just more connected than you think they are in some sort of weird way.
Yeah, I even saw, and this is actually how how I was able to find out about this news in the first place. Like a couple of bigger name YouTubers responded to the initial tweet of his friend Little Norwegians, he goes by on Twitter, who posted the news originally. They actually responded to that, and that's how I found out about it too. And the fact that they knew him, and that he was that much of a supporter of their work, even though they're YouTubers with with thousands of subscribers and people that support them. The fact that he had made that much of an impact on them too, and for them to hear that news and talk about it is definitely something.
Gosh, just because I shouldn't be doing this right now because it's making me upset, but I just checked his account on YouTube and he uploaded 6 days ago.
Yeah, I
6
actually
days
doing-
ago, you know? Like
What
it's not
video- what
it's not
video was-
even fresh.
What video was that?
Captain Disaster in Death had 1 million stompings.
he had a voice acting gig in that.
Oh, that's
You
right.
watch it.
Yeah, that's right. He did do some voice acting roles in a few things here and there too. Because if you hear his videos, he definitely had that distinct. I almost want to say like booming voice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was deep enough, you know, but definitely distinct.
Yeah. Not to mention his laugh. Now that's a booming laugh if I ever heard one.
You know, it's funny you mentioned him commenting on YouTube videos, because that just reminded me of one of the Anime Norths. I think it was your video, Blondie, where I gave Zero like a couple dozen hockey games and
Oh God.
maple syrup cards and a Mountie action figure. And there's Akago in the comments just going, "Holy crap, SCR, you go the extra mile for a joke, don't you?"
He wasn't
But,
wrong.
But even so, he was willing to like do videos on other stuff with us, even if it wasn't necessarily his forte. Like the Lexibook videos I'm doing right now. Near the beginning of the first part is a guest spot I asked Akago if he'd be willing to do. And he said, "Yeah, absolutely, I'd be willing to do that." And of course, like you said, CJ, he sent me like a couple dozen takes.
Yeah.
It's just this one little bit part, but he wanted to make sure that I had the best take possible for it.
What bit was that for? Just to refresh my memory.
It's when I asked who the hell Lexibook was, and
Oh.
it turns out they're a French company. So I'm like, to the European branch of RCG. And he's like,
Oh,
I don't fucking
right.
know.
He's not French, but whatever.
And when I was doing the Escape from Bug Island playthrough for this channel, I don't know if he was ever a survival horror person, or a wee person, or a bad but I can find the humor in this game person. But he was still willing to like stick around and for like 20 minutes commentate over a game that he knew absolutely nothing about. And there was one time too. It was when I was streaming WWE 13. This was years ago. It was at some ridiculous hour in the morning, and he happened to be around, so it was just like him and me commentating over goofy wrestling CPUs. He didn't have to do that, but he did.
No, but he still wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like even for stuff that wasn't like not something you would expect to do. Like he definitely branched out his interests in games too and stuff. Like in fact, one of the things he did while he was like, I guess in his downtime from videos and such was he did a blog where it was like he did 100 games without getting new ones, and he would write down like his progress on each game and what he thought about them. And that's actually how I got into the Backloggery site to list my own collection of games, and I followed him at Backloggery. Unfortunately, his account, it has been closed there, but it was still neat to see to follow him and see what games he was getting, and because it wasn't just like all the PC and DOS stuff he was into. Like he was into all sorts of games too, like just branching out in interest in the 100 Oath blog. Definitely, like it was interesting to see like what clicked for him and what didn't, and like he did branch out to other types of games and other things that he knew, that he heard of, that he wanted to play and stuff like that, and to see if he really got into it or if not, type of thing.
About that 100 Oath blog, I think one of the most notable ones I saw there was when he tried to tackle Fear Effect. That was a hard quit for him. And it
Yeah.
was 100% understandable. In fact, I have yet to try the game myself despite getting it. Who knows, that may be a hard quit for me. And you mentioned backloggery. Same with me. I believe it was through him that I found the site, and I'm just always on there now whenever I buy stuff or actually finish games, you know?
Yeah, basically through us, you got into the backloggery listing too.
Yeah.
But I mean, so whenever I'm on backloggery, it'll always be because of Akago, really.
Yeah.
And I guess Proton John, but that's because he does it with like his stream stuff too. But
And even though his account is closed on there, I'm gonna keep him on that multi-tap list.
oh yeah, same here.
Anything else before I wrap this up?
I just wish it didn't end this way, you know?
No one wants it to end this way.
Yeah.
But
And it's not, and we always have to remember it isn't our fault. A lot of people we take it in a strange way, you know, like all differently too. But you know, like we could have, if we always say we could have done this or we could have done that, it doesn't change the fate as much as we wish it would. So we can't just go around blaming ourselves too.
yeah,
He was part of our CG. He was a good person from what I gather. And that's what I'm going to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier, like, I regret not doing this or not talking with them more and all this other stuff, but in the end, it is what it is. But we will remember him for what he has done, for what he was to us, and that he will live on in our videos and our memories and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, like, our hearts do go out to Akago's family and close friends.
Oh yeah,
because especially through a hard time such as this.
And to anybody that has had thoughts or feelings about this type of thing, don't stay silent. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, or find someone that can professionally help you, because you know it seems in that moment a lot of the time where everything is just not right. But a lot of the time, if not most of it, or not all the time, it's an ultimate solution to a temporary problem.
Just please don't be afraid to reach out. There is nothing to be ashamed of. I've been there myself. I'm just speaking out of sort of experience. And usually I wouldn't ever want to bring that up, but I feel that it's so important to, that I'd be willing to at least reveal that.
And if these stories prove anything, like I said, I didn't really know Akago all that much, but there are people that you may not know care more about you than you realize. And it's very important that if you are able to stick your hand out and ask for help, you'd be surprised in how many people will actually take it, even the ones that you think wouldn't. So I think that's the lesson that always needs to be imparted, is when these things happen, we have to reiterate that you are not alone, as much as you may think you are. It's very important to take that courageous step, and it's not easy. It definitely isn't. But yeah, please, it's important for you and for everyone that cares about you.
I guess there's not much else to say, but see you on the other side, Maarten.